So how long you been boxing for? I know you started at 14 years old. You were talking about.
Yeah, roughly 2008.
Okay. What got you into it? Devin said you were a bit of a brawler back in the day.
Yeah, the boys know that I was always a fighter, whether it was hockey, soccer, whatever sport I was playing. I just loved to fight,
Yeah,
and
were you? Go ahead.
I just loved fighting, and I was always a rough kid as playing other sports, and the boys, yeah, they know they seen. When I was playing hockey, I was a goalie, and I was always trying to get into fights as a goalie.
Shut up! You're a tendy too.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome, dude. I was a goalie growing up, and well, still now, but I didn't know that. That's awesome, man. Dude, tendy, you little Ray Emery, rest in peace, but a little Ray Emery action.
Yeah, exactly. I know all the goalies are a little. They're all a little bit messed up, right? All the tenders.
Okay, let's stick on the hockey. What other sports do you play growing up? Like, is it if you're a fighter, you're just trying to start balls and everything, or what?
Yeah, I was big in hockey and soccer, and
Okay.
yeah, even in soccer, I was always trying to fight. I'd take the body other than the ball sometimes. A couple little rip shots, in the box on corner kicks, wherever I could get at it. I would try to get under the guy's skin.
You don't mess around, eh?
No, we don't mess around. No
That's
messing
your
around over here.
that's your line, eh? I love it.
Yeah, Devin loves that one.
So what's your training looking like right now? Because it's obviously with this amount of time off, you got to stay nimble on your toes, doing different things. Are you working out? You're running Hydro Hill. You getting some backyard workouts in at the Rimmer Truck residence. What else you doing?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get like at least 3 to 4 hard sessions in a week, and get my sparring in at least once, sometimes twice a week. Right now, it's tough finding the sparring right now, but I travel. I've been going all over Ontario, sometimes into Quebec, just for sparring, and I believe I'm the only guy around that's actually doing that. I believe that sparring's a big part of the process, and I'm willing to go wherever the sparring is. So I travel, you know, 5, 6, 7 hours just for a session of sparring, and I believe that's what separates me from everyone else in Canada.
I completely agree. I love it. We're going on a little AP tour as well, going through Eastern Ontario, going to Montreal, Ottawa, Quebec. One of the things we're trying to do is work out with the athletes we have on the podcast. So we might have to get in a little sparring session. You're gonna have to kick the shit out of me and give me some body shots like you did to Devin. Really, really grind my gears. Have you
That's great.
what's been the biggest transition for you going from amateur to professional? Have you noticed a real difference in, these 9 fights recently?
You know what? I'm starting to notice it a lot more in sparring. Uh, my first 9 fights, they went real quick. I finished all the guys within 2 rounds. But the biggest difference is obviously the gloves. But more importantly, it's the rounds, right? You have up to a 12-round fight in the pros. In the amateurs, you're maxed out at 3 rounds, and it really changes the pace of the fight, like your strategies in the fight, because now you got 12 rounds to break somebody down. It's a total different game. Amateurs, it's more of a sprint, and you're working so hard to throw as many punches as you can in 9 minutes. So now I'm more relaxed. I sit down on my shots, and it's more of a chess game where I get to break somebody down over a longer period of time. I like it much better. actually. You know, and I'm starting to get the hang of it in sparring when I'm sparring 8-rounders. You know, you're not just trying to beat a guy up in 9 minutes. You got a lot more time now, so you can take your time, pick your shots, and be a little bit more relaxed.
Right. It's interesting because a lot of guys will go through and they don't really recognize the fact that when you become a professional, there's so much more pressure added. There's so much more hype to live up to. There's so many more things you have to deal with on a daily basis. You don't realize that there's contracts, there's sponsors, there's this, that, and the other thing. How have you been able to balance that? Obviously, signing with a guy like Phil Greco, that's helped the process along the way. But for maybe a younger boxer who's going through this process, what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, you know, it's not easy, you know, making that transition to the professional ranks, especially when you don't have a promoter or a manager right away. Um, it is a very, very dirty business. I can tell you that right off the bat. Um, you just have to trust the people that are surrounded by you, and it all really depends on your goals. You see, my goals was the big stage at the world class level, you know, and that's part of the reason why I didn't sign with a local promoter right away. I took my time, and now Phil's putting me in the right positions, and we're gonna be known worldwide very soon. We're being patient, and right now, obviously, with everything going on, it's hard to get fights, but we're in the eyes and the ears of the right people right now, and I believe something is going to happen very soon in the next few months by the end of the year.
Yeah, I agree. We got the little mini Vegas that is Niagara Falls. It's what was it like growing up in the Falls, being a Falls boy?
I love the Falls. I've been here my whole life. I have all my friends here. Um, it's a small city, so everybody knows each other, so it's easy to network. But I don't plan on leaving. I love Niagara Falls. I think it's going to be a big attraction for boxing very soon.
I agree too. You were talking on Fight Hub TV, that YouTube channel, and it was interesting. I was listening to that guy. He didn't really know much about Niagara Falls and Canada in general. It was wild. I couldn't believe it because it's crazy. You know, I guess I've only been here for 5 years in the Niagara region, but man, the Falls is such a great place to go visit, have fun.
It's the best. It's the best for tourists, right? Like everyone that comes to Canada, you have to visit Niagara Falls at some point. It's
Mhm.
it's one of those places that you have to go.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's one of the world's wonders. What's your diet like? Because when we were doing those backyard training sessions, obviously you roll in shredded, you're just deezed, diesel guy. But what's your diet like? I know Eats holds it down for you and gets you those meal plans, but what are you training? Are you keeping track of your macros, or do you just eat whatever you kind of want?
You know, you when it's time to really really crack down, I do. I have to really really watch what I'm eating, and I'm one of those guys that if I don't give it 100%, I won't lose weight. If I do 80%, I'm not losing weight. I have to give it my all my focus, and make sure everything's on point the whole week, on weeks, and that's the only way my body really sheds the weight. You know, because I'm right now I'm sitting at probably a buck 52, and that's where my body's comfortable at, between 150 and 155. And people know I fight at 135, so it's a big gap there. And for me to actually make that break that 150 mark and get down to the low 140s, it's tough. I have to really 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 stay strict and stay on my diet, and of course I have to be training extremely hard for my body to actually let go of the weight. And then the last 5 to 7 pounds is all water weight. That's the day before. It's a water cut, and you just sweat it out. And I'm lucky that my body holds a ton of water, and for me to drop that weight by sweating is not too hard for me.
That's lucky. And but that's obviously got to be an advantage when you're fighting at that 135 weight class. You get to be a bit bigger compared to some of the other guys. Some of the other guys in that range that are at the top, you know, the guys like Ryan Garcia, Lopez, Rayo Fimo, like who are some of those guys that you want to get after in the ring and hopefully showcase what you're able to do?
You know what? I belong in the ring with all of those guys. You know, that last weekend, Roland Romero, who just fought for a WBA interim world title. He's one of Floyd Mayweather's guys, one of his prospects. He's 11-0, 11 knockouts. He just won on the weekend, which I thought was an absolute terrible decision. It's the first time he went to decision. He went 12 rounds, and I thought he lost. I don't think that guy would go the distance with me. When I watch him, I think he's awful. He's got absolute. And I'm not just saying that. He's got awful habits, and I believe I'll eat these guys up when the time comes. And yeah, same with Ryan Garcia. All these guys, you know, they stop their opponents quick. But when they get in there with a guy that has good eyes, good defense, good reflexes, and has the willpower to go past the first 5-6 rounds and start breaking them down, I think these guys are going to fold. And I'm going to be the one guy to show the world that these guys aren't what you see on Instagram and YouTube and all of these videos.
Right, that's the thing. You've got the one punch power.
That's it. And you know what? That's not all I got. What people don't realize is how hard I am to hit clean. And all my opponents, all my sparring partners, will tell you what really impresses them is how hard it is to hit me clean. I don't get hit clean, and right now we're working on a lot of technical aspects with me and my coach Steve Bailey. And when it comes to going 8, 10, 12 rounds, I'm gonna be separated from all those other guys.
Yeah, you talk about how your timing is the key for you. Are you what in particular is it because you do spend so much time sparring that you think it's that's your benefit?
Well, you know, everyone knows like I'm not the fastest guy in the world, you know, and I got speed, but to knock guys out, it's not just speed and power. You need timing, you need placement, you need the whole setup beforehand to knock these guys out. Hit them with that clean shot that they don't see, because it's the one that they don't see is the one that puts them down and puts them away. You know what I mean? If you get hit with a hard shot, like a really, really extremely hard shot, but if you see it coming, your body's able to prepare for it. Mm-hmm. You know, it might hurt to get hit, but you're not going to be on the floor sleeping unconscious. Right?
Yeah, it's I know exactly what you mean. I've never been hit, but I can only imagine. You brought up a good point at the Instagram videos, all those guys showcasing, showboating, whatever you want to call it. But like you see a guy with like Ryan Garcia, who's got 7 million followers, sponsored by Gymshark because he's popping the gym bag 100 times in 10 seconds. And, you know, that looks great on camera and on video. But, you know, when you got someone across from you swinging, it's a little different than a punching bag, right? And you know, I just think it's a lot of show. Him sitting on cars taking selfies, like it's a little ridiculous. I kind of want to see him get his face caved in at some point, just because you know you can't think that you're the shit and not you're the sickest thing since sliced bread. And I think there's someone that's going to do it eventually. I'm hoping it's you.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of it is for show. You know, I'm not trying to take anything away from the kid because he's a young kid and he's an extremely talented. But you know, there's levels to this game, and I believe I'm one step ahead of him.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm hoping that my fingers are crossed for you for sure. Are there any boxers that you look up to or you grew up kind of idolizing or try and emulate your game after?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, that's like when I started boxing that's all I did was watch YouTube videos and watch these guys fight, like Floyd Mayweather, Prince Nazim Ahmed, Roberto Duran, Chavez Sr. You know, that's all I did was watch video and exactly break down what they're doing over 10, 12 rounds, and little techniques and moves that they did. I was trying to simulate them when I was in sparring, and that really helped me. You know, a lot of people, you know, when I first started boxing, I was training with Billy Irwin, and everyone knows Billy Irwin, who was just a tight shell, come forward, counter puncher, and as a young kid, I was always trying to be a slick boxer, and everyone was always asking me, like, where'd you learn how to do that? And to be honest, I was self-taught at that time. I just studying videos of guys like Mayweather and guys that I looked up to, Prince Nazim. That's how I started learning a lot of my tricks. And you know, now I'm training with Stevie Bailey out of Guelph, and he's actually perfecting all those little moves and tricks that I've been doing all these years. And now it's really coming out of me that I'm able to do all these things that not a lot of people are able to. You know, I was always an athlete, so I'm able to get away with certain moves that other people will never be able to do.
Yeah, that's why we got you on the Athletes Podcast, brother. So let's talk a bit about the boys pushing you: Devin Rimmerchuk, Brandon Johnson, Corey Kemp, Dylan, Sunshine Coach. You know, we talked about them, but how important is it having a group that you can train with and push, get after it with?
You know what? It's the best. It brings the joy out of training. I look forward to training with these guys every day, and they're all absolute animals. Like these guys are just freaks, and it really impresses me because I train hard every single day. And then when I see these guys and they're beating me in some things, and it gives me that extra edge, and they push me more than as if I was doing it by myself, right? So they give me motivation, and it's a lot of fun competing with the boys, and like they love it. They love training. I love training, and it's just a good atmosphere, and we feed off one another.
Yeah, it was a blast working with you guys those couple of times. Man, I was paired up with Corey Kemp. The guy's a freaking beast. I had to go head to head. He was doing laps around me as I was panting. It was BS.
Yeah, he's a powerful kid.
I couldn't believe it. Thank God Eats was there afterwards, giving us some fuel, some food.
That's
I had to carb up. I was dying.
Fuel by Eats, the best in the business.
What? How often are you eating their food?
Usually 3 times a week right now.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah, I go there quite a bit. I love it. Like you can't beat it. It's
good.
It's quality food, and you can't beat the pricing. I mean, for under $20, you get whatever you want on the menu, and it's amazing food.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I appreciate good quality food, and you know, especially now when you're training so much, when you're putting in the work, it's important to your body too, right? Like I think about professional athletes nowadays, and you don't see anyone eating crap anymore because that's your body, that's your temple, and if you got to make sure that what you're putting in there is the best quality possible.
100%. It's your fuel. It's your fuel, and it's also your recovery. And to recover fast enough to train, you know, just as hard as you did the next day, you need to make sure that you're putting the right foods in you, and you're resting properly and you're sleeping properly at night, because that all comes together at the end, right? You don't want to be breaking down in the middle of the week where you know you can't train on a Thursday because you train too hard on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? So you got to make sure that the rest and your sleeping patterns and your food intake is proper. You want to make sure you're getting in the right foods, the quality foods to recover properly in time.
What are you doing anything for your recovery aspect? Like I just got this Whoop strap, and I've been my rest, my heart rate variability. That's really high, by the way. I'm loving it. But what are you doing? Anything in particular to keep track of that stuff?
You know what? I don't got the watch, but
It's expensive.
I make sure my like my meal timing is proper, and that's like a very, very important aspect of recovery, is when the times that you're getting in the meals and your macros after your workout and before your workout. You want to make sure that you're doing it properly to recover fast enough for your next workout.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people don't take into consideration when they eat their meals, and there's varying thoughts on when the best time is. But I know one thing that's for sure is eating before you go to bed probably isn't the best idea. But making sure that you're fueling up before and after those workouts is so important for athletes. And a lot of people now doing intermittent fasting, all that stuff, have they start pushing back their meal times throughout the day, and then they're eating right before they go to bed. That doesn't make for a very conducive for a better sleep at night. So there's a lot of factors that go into it that people don't necessarily consider, and it can really hurt your performance later on.
Yeah, 100%. Like when you're talking about the intermittent fasting, there's a fine line between weight loss and performance, right? It all depends what your goals are, right? If you're looking to perform, then intermittent fasting is not really going to work as good as if you're fueling up before your workout. And that's something that I've noticed, and my nutritionist has that advised me over the years was I was always work out in the morning on an empty stomach, and they advised me differently. And like I said, it all depends on your goals, and if you want that extra performance over eating on an empty stomach, it all depends on what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. So Jordan's got he's got your Instagram page up with a bunch of your knockout fights. But what is, before he brings up a video, what does it feel like to knock a guy out, to just have that thrill of connecting on that and just putting a guy on the mat?
You know what? It's the best feeling, and when you get that impact on your knuckles, that shock right up your arm, when you land that hard shot, I know he's not getting up. It's just it's
a wrap,
the fight ender. Oh yeah. If you watch all my fights, every single time I land that hard, clean shot, I turn around and I know it's over. That's it. Fight's over.
Yeah, that's it. It's a wrap. That's the referee waving off. It's an offside here. Oh, here we go. Jordan's got one. He's pulling it up. Here, look at that. Prince at Prince Bhadi, if you don't follow him yet. Professional boxer, 9-0. Look at this.
Let's
see
here.
This one. Yeah, let's see it. Ready?
Nacido en Oaxaca, el tornado se valentona, no le importa recibir lo que quiere repartir. Monumento sublime, extraordinario, mayúsculo, genial, impresionante, cuánto adjetivo. La lona.
That's it. Game over. Sorry, that was some aggressive volume.
Yeah, it was.
That was my professional debut there.
Yeah, but that's every time. It's just you're the referee waving it off, and that's it. Game over.
Man, those are beautiful.
But that's how you don't mess around.
No messing around, boys. Straight business.
So one of the things we were chatting about before the recording cut out for a bit there was that German mishap with the Olympic dreams. Let's just touch on that again, and how difficult that was of a process for you. Obviously, you knock the guy out in the second round, you're number 1 seed for Canada going in, and that dream gets taken away from you. Give us when it happened, how you were feeling, and just reiterate how frustrating that would have been for you. And I know it's digging up past emotions, and it was in 2016, but it's still something that's probably giving you motivation now.
Yeah, it was something that I was really frustrated at the time, being the number one guy and not getting the call to be on the Olympic team in 2016. And leading up to it, like you said, I fought, had the dual meet against Germany, and that was supposed to be the last qualification on who's going to the last Olympic qualifier, which was the World Championships at the time. And after I won that fight, I stopped the guy in the second round. I was so happy, you know. I was celebrating because I thought I'm going to the Olympic trials, and you know, all this happened for a reason. I'm going to be going to the Olympics representing my country. And you know, weeks were going by where they haven't announced the team yet that was going. I started to get really impatient. I was emailing and calling, and you know, one day out of the blue, I get a phone call, and it was the president of Boxing Canada, and he says, you know, Lucas, just giving you a heads up that you're not going to be going to Azerbaijan. We're going to be sending another boxer at the 60 kilogram weight division, and we're doing it based on his past achievements and his experience. He's got a lot more experience than you. He's a little older than you, and this and that. And I said, well, that's irrelevant because I did what I had to do and I won. And why is his experience level going to decide who's going to go? If I'm the better fighter, why would you send anybody else? You know, it didn't make any sense to me. You know, yeah, the guy's got more experience, but that doesn't mean he's got a better chance at qualifying. Mm-hmm. So it was really frustrating, and you know, 2 days after that phone call, I get an email, and they tell me, you know, David's injured right now, and we don't know if he's going to be okay to go, so we want you to stay ready. So this is after telling me that I wasn't going. I start eating and start binge eating, you know, because of my frustrations. Yeah. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, like maybe I am gonna go, right? So it was just like an up and down roller coaster. And leading up to the tournament, the World Championships, I was trying to stay in shape, trying to stay on weight, and I was emailing them like every other day. Am I going? What's going on? Right? And it came to the point where it was like the last couple of days, and they still haven't told me if I was going or not. And they're like, yeah, we'll let you know, basically when the plane leaves. But it was absolutely ridiculous. They processed my visa, everything. Like I thought I was going. And it wasn't until basically the plane took off when I realized, yeah, I'm sitting the bench on this one. But yeah, it was really, really, really frustrating. It was an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, and I can only imagine.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous. Politics, they defeated me there.
It's such a shame. Yeah, and I mentioned it earlier, but obviously it's something that now you can use as fuel and put it towards now being a professional. Obviously, what was that decision like for you? Because you were still, as with amateur status, you could have still competed in the 2020 Olympic Games had they been happening right now. But what went into that decision? Because I heard you had it in the back of your mind for a while that you were gonna make the switch. And then you just one day decided to pack it up and drove back to the Falls.
Yeah. So after not going to the 2016 Olympics, the goal was 2020. At the time I was like, okay, professional, amateur, and I decided, you know what, I'm still young, I'll stick around for 2020 Olympics. And it was around that time where I changed my fighting style. I said, you know what, I'm not going to leave any fights to the judges. I'm going to start fighting with bad intentions and fighting to knock people out. And me and my coach at the time, Willis McManaman, he was getting me to do things that I wasn't doing before, and really, really putting the pressure on guys. And it was a seek and destroy strategy, and it worked really well for me. And I was I was knocking guys out at the national level, at the international level, and it really, really changed things. You know, people feared me. So when you're in a tournament and I'm in your division, people would drop out of tournaments because they see my name there.
Mm-hmm.
And leading up to the 2020 Olympic Games, I was on the national team in 2018. I absolutely had an amazing tournament at the 2018 national championships, having 4 fights in 4 days, knocking 2 of my opponents out in the first round. It was a really good tournament for me. And that at the time the national team had to centralize in Montreal, and I moved to Montreal to train there and to fight out of Montreal. You know, I just wanted to be a part of that political team, right? I thought if I play by the rules, they're not going to screw me this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I moved over there, and it wasn't until like at the end of 2018. Yeah, it was the end of 2018 where they were threatening to not have boxing in the Olympics. And it was based on all the corruption that happened in 2016 Olympics, because there were a lot of political decisions and a lot of corruption that was going on with the decisions that were happening at the Rio Olympics. And the Olympic Committee was really, really threatening AIBA, which was the boxing organization. And at that time, the same time, they were taking out 2 men weight divisions and adding 2 female. So one of the weight divisions that they eliminated out of the men's team was my division, 60 kilograms, which has been around forever. So, I mean, it wasn't the end of the world. I would just move up to 63 kilograms. But you know what? I got in that political battle again, where I was going to be competing against one of the coach's personal fighters. And you know, I lived in Montreal for 8 months, training with this guy, you know, by my side. You know, he was a friend of mine, but at the end of the day, it's, you know, we're in the same division. We're going to be competing against each other. And I lived there for 8 months, and we sparred maybe 2 rounds in 8 months. So that right there was telling me, okay, he's keeping me away from him. You know?
Yeah, they don't want you getting near him.
Yeah. And I just had a bad feeling inside, and I just knew that, you know, he's going to do this again. And at that time, switching into the new year, the 2019, the rule book came out, the new qualifications and the new criteria for the Olympics. And you guys are going to love this one. So the criteria was, of course, winning the Olympic trials. But there's a wild card for 1 male and 1 female. And the head coach, which was the executive director or whatever he was, performance director, gets to select 1 random male and 1 random female. Doesn't matter if you won, doesn't matter if you lost at the Olympic trials, he gets to select it. And that's when I said, oh my gosh, this is completely bullshit. I already know, everyone on the team knew who he was going to select. It was quite obvious. And that's when I said, you know what? Ciao. I'm heading home. I packed the U-Haul. I left. I didn't tell anybody, not even my friends on the team. And that was it. I said, I'm turning professional. And at the time, I didn't tell them that. I wanted them to fear me. So I told them I was going to go to the 2019 national championships. I told everyone that I was going to the nationals, and I'm going to knock out everybody. But I just told them that just to get under their skin, right? And it actually worked. They did. They were really, 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 really scared of that, and they were training for me. But I had no intentions of going. At the time I was negotiating contracts to turn professional and this and that, and you know, the rest is history. I ended up not signing with anybody and doing it myself, and having my first 9 fights without a manager or promoter.
Damn. Well, it's I love it. I love the audacity to just do whatever you wanted to do and scare the shit out of them by doing it. Jordan, jump in here. What's your question?
So when you were talking about how if they got rid of the 60 kilogram division, it said no big deal, can move up to the 63 kilogram. For people that don't know, that's just a difference of 6.6 pounds. But can you tell us what kind of changes you would notice in 3 kilograms in the ring, in a boxing ring, or just going up or down? Like, it seems like such a little change, but I know that it obviously if they have the 2 different divisions, it means a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, 5-10 pounds is a lot. It's a lot more than you'd think.
Yeah.
And it's basically, when you're fighting at 135, the guys are coming down from 150, and the guys that are fighting at 140 or sometimes up to 165. They're walk around weight. So, I know it's only 5-10 pounds, but it does. When you're in the ring with a guy that's like 10 pounds heavier than me, you really, really notice it. And it's definitely a bigger advantage.
Okay, yeah.
It's crazy how much that difference, because I'm walking around at about 182, 183 right now, and I can't even imagine, having to drop 15 pounds, because you're sitting at probably 12, 13% body fat, I'm assuming, and having to drop 10, 15 pounds from that is insane.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I've been down to about 5% body fat, when I'm at fight weight.
Jesus, that's crazy. And you still feel like you can perform at your best level?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm strong. I feel like I'm faster. I feel good as long as, my diet's on point. I feel good at that weight.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, Lucas, this has been amazing. I really appreciate you coming on. The last question we wrap up every podcast with is, what kind of tips, tricks would you give to the younger generation, specifically now for you, for boxers, having gone through it? What would you tell that younger generation?
Consistency. 100%. You have to be consistent. Like a lot of athletes, they take a lot of time off during the year, or they're they're busy drinking or doing whatever on their spare time. I don't drink at all. There's 0 alcohol, 0 drugs in my diet, and I'm extremely focused on moving forward and my goals in the future. That I really take days off. Even on my days off, I'm watching boxing or I'm doing something productive that's going to help me move forward. And that's one thing I do, is I videotape all my sparring sessions and stuff like that, and I study off them, on days off and stuff like that. But consistency is key, and it's the key to success, and it's what actually holds guys back a lot of times is not being consistent. But that's my number one thing, is how consistent I am. The last 15 years of doing this.
Well, it's gonna be shown moving forward. You don't mess around. I love it.
No messing around over here, boys.
Lucas, Prince Bhadi, thank you so much for coming on the Athletes Podcast. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you soon in Devin's backyard, and we'll get after another workout.
Definitely. Thanks for having me, boys. You guys are great.
Take care, and thank you guys for tuning in to the Athletes Podcast. Bye.